This song is talking about the first ladies, the ones that's been holding it down through the years. For everybody.
I want somebody to think of me first.
What would you say would be the greatest advantage
of being first lady?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can find a great advantage of it. Except, you have access to his needs,
Mm-hmm.
and you're there to, hear what he has to say and minister to his needs so that he doesn't go before the people all burdened down, but other than that, it's just a lot of work. And sometimes you got to go and clean the church too.
Right.
And people come in, you come in all late, you done been out there and cleaned the church and everything, and you come in all late and they're looking at you, why is she so late?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, I was just a maid a while ago.
Thank you for tuning into my channel. I appreciate you. If you would take a minute to comment, rate, and subscribe, and join the fun, join the First family. We are here to give you a little bit of a spin today. I know I told you guys that it's getting a little bit difficult to try to get these first ladies together because everyone has such a busy schedule. But today I'm going to give you a little bit of different spin. I'm here with Audrey Cole-Lockett. She is here to talk to you about what it was like to serve a first lady. As you saw before this conversation, that was Mother Fannery Bateman, a jewel, an icon, a queen. She was an advisor. When you are talking to someone and you're getting advice from them, you kind of think you're the only one that's talking to her. But you realize that a lot of people were going to her for help, advice, spiritual guidance. She was just all around wonderful woman. And a few times I've had to call her and say, Mother, can I just come sit with you? My grandmother passed when I was in my teens, and I felt like she just kind of took over that role for me because she was such a great mentor and such a great spiritual woman. And so today I'm giving you a bit of a spin because I have with me Audrey. She served Mother Bateman. She served beside her and Evangelist Ebony Hopper Robinson. They were her aides, her everything, her arms and her feet. So today I wanted to give you a little bit of a spin and let you hear from what it's like to be able to serve the First Lady. So first introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about you.
I am Audrey Cole-Lockett. I served, I am an attendee of Whole Truth Temple Church of God in Christ, where I served the late Mother Fannery Bateman. I served her as her being my First Lady, and I also served her as her being our jurisdictional mother.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. How long did you do that for?
First Lady, I served her, wow, maybe about, I would have to say 20 years as my First Lady.
Whoa.
Yeah, I started serving her even before she became the jurisdictional supervisor.
Yeah.
As she was district missionary.
Yeah.
Before that, I would have to say at least 20 years.
Did you, well, how did she ask you to do that role?
She didn't.
Oh.
What happened is, so,
Mm-hmm.
she was my auntie.
Right.
As well.
Right.
And I was sitting one day, we was at Holy Temple.
Okay.
Holy Temple
Mm-hmm.
at a district meeting. And I seen her trying to gather all of her things.
Mm-hmm.
So I came in this like really blind.
Yeah.
It was because most of all she was my auntie.
Right.
And so I seen her trying to gather all her stuff, and I'm sitting at the time, I had 2 little kids.
Yeah.
But I said, let me go grab her coat.
Mm-hmm.
I went grab her coat, and I would just sit around and wait.
Mm-hmm.
And so from there on was when I was doing stuff here at the church.
Mm-hmm.
But at the time, her daughter, which is co-pastor Angela Burns,
Mm-hmm.
now she was here
Yeah.
at the time. So, she kind of did everything,
Right.
you know, that she needed.
Right.
It was when she left, when I seen that there was a need.
Yeah.
And so that's how I started.
You just started picking
I
up stuff.
just started.
Wow.
And then after I just started, and it was more so, I really wasn't looking at it as like the church aspect.
Yeah.
I was
Right.
really looking at it like,
That's
this is
my
my
aunt.
auntie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm gonna take care of my aunt.
Right.
It was after I got into it
Wow.
where I really understood the task,
Yeah.
and really understood what it was to serve, and the benefits from serving.
Right. Right.
I really started learning, and I started developing a desire to help.
Yeah.
So, moving on, in these last few years, I really, really, really understood.
Do you think it intensified when she became state supervisor? Or was it almost the same?
For me, it was almost the same because I took care of her the same.
Yeah.
And I believe when you have a heart to serve, it doesn't matter like what capacity they're in. And so it didn't make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So after the 20 years of serving her just as the first lady, then how many years after that? Or was it 20 total?
It was a total of 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I might have started, so I think she was, a jurisdictional supervisor for about 8 years.
Yeah.
So I was in that place for about 20 years.
Yeah.
So prior, so it's a total of,
Okay.
yeah.
No training.
I did have some training.
You went to an official person?
I went to our bishop,
Wow.
because you know, he used to do the
Yeah.
manuals.
Yeah.
And he would come down every Monday
Wow.
at Victory Temple.
Wow.
And so that's when my first lady was like, you know, Bishop is coming down, he's having these trainings, and he trained on different things.
Yeah.
And I went for that.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know that. Would you say training is important, or do you think someone can be called to do this?
I do believe someone can be called to do this. I also think training is important as well. But I was called before I was trained
Right.
by the book.
Right.
But when I got into training, I realized I was doing those things, right? I began to understand the importance of some things, and then there were some things I said, okay, well, I need to make sure that I'm doing that. But I believe that you have to be called, because if you're not a servant or don't understand what it means to serve,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Right.
Like, you really don't know,
Right.
how am I going to meet your needs, right? And serving you, but I don't really know how to serve. I really don't want to serve. A lot of people really just do it because they think this is a time that they can be seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's not, and who they can meet,
Right.
right? And who they're going to be next to.
Right. Right.
And a
It gets to be
person,
selfish.
right, and a person that wants to serve, has the heart of a servant, none of that matters.
Right.
You know, none of that matters.
That's good.
If my first lady would have never became jurisdictional supervisor, I still would have been serving her the same way.
What do you say to somebody who really gets into this with the intentions of becoming, maybe not necessarily the first lady, but becoming something bigger? They want to connect themselves to someone who already has a name, but they really don't have a desire to serve. What do you say to someone? Or are you able to address that? Like, can you see it and say, you maybe need to change your motive?
I think, are you asking me, can I see it or can the first lady see it?
Either or.
Or the person who they're serving?
Yeah.
I believe the person who is serving can see it. You have some that are low maintenance. And you have some, and so it's going to be a little tricky for me because I'm going to bounce around because I have the experience of both.
Yeah.
And I will say, even for some first ladies, I think we have some that are very high maintenance.
Yeah.
And I think they take it as the people who we're serving.
Yeah.
They take it as if, you know, we're goers,
Wow. Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna be honest, like, I was serving a person one time,
Yep.
and literally, I'm behind her.
Mm-hmm.
There's a person next to her, and then there's the third person.
Mm-hmm.
She turns around and tapped me to tell me to ask her to, like, give her something, right? It was something small. I don't even want to say a pin. I'm not serious. It was really small. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, that's different.
Mm-hmm.
Just reach over.
Reach over and get the pin.
I say, can you?
Or,
But that's where it comes as a person who's serving too, like having the heart of a servant. Because the right person would have been like,
yeah.
But so I think it's a twofold thing. And I think we have some people who can kind of take advantage of the people who serve in them. And I do think we have some people who are serving just to be seen. And they really don't have that heart. Because there was a first lady in our jurisdiction, and I'll never forget it. First Lady Clark. I was sitting behind my first lady, and she asked her if she could pray for me. And when she started praying, she told me, she said, make sure you pray for her. Even if you don't know why you're praying, you make sure you pray for her. That still sits in my mind like she just said it yesterday. Because that was such a valuable moment for me.
Yeah.
Because, and I know I'm jumping around.
No, you good.
But
You good.
first ladies, like, we don't really understand the stuff that a first lady goes through. And when you're close to your first lady, when you're serving your first lady, there's things that you see, and there's things that you hear. You see from other people, and you hear from other people. And you see from your first lady. You see her hurt. You see her pain. You see her, I don't really want to use the word disgust, but you can kind of see the emotions is what I'll say. Because, like, y'all go through some stuff, you know, and I believe whether you're family or not, whether you're close to the first lady or not, that is a different assignment.
Yes.
So when you then become, when I'm serving, I'm serving.
Right.
That's not my auntie.
Right.
Well, it wasn't my auntie.
Right.
I was serving. And sometimes people become really common
That's true.
with you guys.
That's true.
And for me, I'll give you an example. We were here and somebody was selling something one day. And you know, first lady, you know, you guys, you greet people after service or whatever. So she's walking up to the table and a member said to her, "You're cutting. You can't cut, we've been in line."
Oh.
So as a first lady, you know, you guys aren't really gonna say too much.
Right.
But as me serving her, I'm going to say something. There's always a way to say something.
Sure.
So I told her, I said, no, the first lady nor the pastor never has to wait in line. They don't have a line. Whenever they get through greeting the people, they come right up to the front. and grab their things. You know,
Yeah.
and the people at the table were in agreement with it.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things you guys have to go through.
Right.
Is people become, it's like, what line do you guys, where do you guys stay? Or stand? Like, can I be friendly? Or not?
Right. Right.
Because if I'm friendly,
Right.
you take advantage.
Right.
If I'm not,
Right.
then I don't want to talk to the people. You know what I'm saying?
Standoffish.
Yeah. So, so those are some of the things that I learned, is to cover my first. And you never want to make the person you're serving. I never wanted to make her look bad. I never wanted to say or do anything
That's good.
to make her look bad. Because if I act a certain way, talk a certain way, I'm covering her, right? I'm serving her.
Right.
Then what are they gonna think about her
Right.
if I'm a certain way?
Right.
So that is a part of understanding what it means to serve. And so knowing that I had to lead a certain type of life, and I had to stay prayerful, you know, I had to do all of those things, because we never want our first ladies to look bad.
This was one of the things I was going to ask you. Have you ever had to, like, defend her? Have you ever had to, because she's not going to say anything, have you ever had to almost square up with somebody because of the way they treated your first lady?
I didn't. But I was in the presence of something that, so it wasn't the other person that served our first lady. But, you know, first ladies will, and this was in the other capacity that she served.
Okay.
Okay. So you have people that love you,
Yeah.
and you have people that don't.
Yeah.
I don't really think the person had a problem with the other one that served her. I think they really had a problem with the first lady,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
So by the time I got there, I'm being met because the other person is coming to me telling me all this stuff that this particular person said to her. And it was like a whole bunch of stuff that was unnecessary.
Right.
And the other person didn't deserve it,
Okay.
right?
Okay.
So I just told her, no, you just go back in the service and sit down. Yep. Because I'll take care of that.
Yeah.
You know, but it was easier for me to take care of it
Yeah.
because for whatever reason she had these issues.
Okay.
I will say there's no issues today.
Okay.
That person does not have those issues today
Okay.
because I'm an observer,
Yeah.
and so I watch.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things too when you're serving.
You got
You
to watch.
become an observer.
You have to.
You know, I remember being in the service and the service was really, really, really high.
Yeah.
And someone came to me and told me, you need to just get up and run around this church. And I said to her, no, I don't. I'm serving. You get what I'm saying? So, yes, the spirit is high, but when you're serving,
And you felt it, I'm sure.
I felt it. Yeah, I felt it. That's perhaps why she came to me. But at the same time, I understand that I'm serving.
Yeah.
And this was at a time when her health was a little different.
Okay.
So, yeah, I feel God's presence,
Yeah.
you know. But God knows how to keep us in a place where we can praise Him and serve and do what needs to be done. Don't just let anybody just come up to your first lady and just be handing her stuff
Wow.
and giving her stuff.
Wow.
You know,
Yeah.
and I'm just, you know, because everybody is not for your first lady.
Right.
Yes, we pray and we believe God. You know, but God gave us some sense too.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
so don't just like, if I know that there's the possibility of me walking out in that street and a car is coming, right? And I'm just gonna dare it.
Yeah.
I might be able to get across the street in enough time. Now, I might be able to,
Yeah.
but I might not.
Right.
Yeah, but there's some people that they might, they might, you know, and they might not.
Right.
So that's all that I'm
You
saying.
just gotta be cautious at all times.
You gotta be cautious.
Yeah.
And not only that, it's like sometimes your first lady can be in a good place. Service was high.
Yeah.
And then you got that one that want to come up with a whole bunch of foolishness and nonsense. This is not the time.
This is not the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we cover in all those areas.
Right.
But, you know, again, if our heart is right,
Right.
and, you know, and we really understand what serving means, then we'll watch out for all of those things. I was prepared to be in leadership roles just by watching her.
That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So many valuable lessons. Even, you know, being just a church member.
Right.
I learned how to deal with people
Yep.
because I watched her
Yep.
deal with different personalities.
Right.
You know, things being said
Yep.
that aren't true.
Right.
You know,
Right.
people coming up, just people being nasty and mean. And you had a lot of love and sakes. So I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying there was a lot of things that I learned. So I learned how to deal with people.
Yep.
And I didn't really understand what I was learning early on.
Right.
I then start learning, and then even more so, I think about it.
Yep.
And I really appreciate those times.
Yeah. Absolutely. Mother Bateman was not your ordinary first lady, right? Was, I believe, first of all, she was a lady.
Lady.
Hello.
A lady.
A lady. She had the baddest walk. But my sister and I, and my mother, we went to the women's convention, and we were at the Midnight Musical. And we were looking around, I mean, and it was like 12, 1 o'clock, right? And me and her, you know, we getting into it, I mean, but we look over and Mother Bateman is across the way from us. And she's still there. And not just still there, I mean, she was up and, you know, getting it. And I'm like, she is the coolest state supervisor ever, right? Because she didn't, everybody, like you could tell, everybody was gone. She was hanging in there.
Yeah.
And she wasn't just hanging in there, she was getting into it. Tell us a little bit about Mother Bateman that maybe something we don't know, that we think we might have known, but we really didn't know.
Mother Bateman she was really cool.
Yeah.
And she was funny.
Yeah.
I mean, I know everybody know this. I mean, don't ask her something if you don't want the truth. Don't ask her something
Right.
if you don't want the truth.
Right.
But she just was so loving.
Yeah.
And just like had a whole bunch of wisdom
Right.
with so many things.
Right.
Inside the church and outside the church.
Right.
But she was funny. She was very classy.
Very classy.
Always. I remember, you know, some might remember and some might not, when she used to make her hats.
Right.
She was a hat maker.
Right.
She would design her own clothes. But, you know, she would take people in. And, you know, they had their own mothers. It's not like they didn't have, you know, their mothers or whatever. But she would take you in. So anybody who would come in her presence, it was like they desired to be back in her presence again.
Right.
You know.
Right.
You know, she would be funny with when she wanted to tell you something. And if she couldn't get a hold of you, my goodness, she learned how to text real quick.
Real quick.
She would would
And there'd be a
always
whole
try
paragraph.
to paragraph too. So people would always think she only doing it to me. No, she didn't care. She did it to a whole bunch of people, you know. And she would well, I'll say I won't say that.
Okay.
I won't say that story. But Ebony Hopper Robinson, but she would say we taught her how to text.
Oh.
Because I guess she would be trying to call us.
Yep.
I mean, she was trying to call us.
Yep.
And sometimes we would answer, but we were much younger then, you know. And my uncle, which is the pastor, would say, she'd be like, I've been trying to reach that Sean. Oh, well, I just got off the phone with her.
Yep.
So, or I just got through texting her. So she said, we taught her how to text. And sometimes I would be like, well, I sure wish I would have been picking up the phone. I would have been picking up them phone calls. Because she just, the text messages.
And then she said that's what she preferred after she learned it.
And then they would be in all caps.
Yep.
I'm like, I mean, can you take the caps off? I mean, I don't, and sometimes it would be a laugh out loud. I'm like, I mean, but you're screaming right now. You're screaming right now. I mean, so what's going on? So, and she would say, yeah. So you didn't want to pick up my calls, so you taught me how to text. So I'll take it. But, you know, she was funny.
Yeah.
She was funny.
I was at this was during the spring conference here. It was day session. And I'm thinking, ain't nobody gonna be there, right? Because usually everybody's working during the day sessions. So I'm like, anybody gonna be there? I'm just gonna wear, you know, something real cute. I thought it was real cute. And she came up to me after, and she didn't say anything. She just said, I was like, dang. I already knew I was in trouble. My mother was there. And my mother said, you got in trouble a little bit, didn't you? Yeah, I did. And she would zoom in on those hymns if they were a little too short.
Yeah, and send them to you.
And send it to you.
And you don't even know she's taking a picture. Like, what are you doing?
When did you do that?
Right. But that was another thing, and I appreciate so much now, is she believed in true holiness.
Yeah.
So no matter what, some things we might, you know, disagree with.
Yeah.
Don't get caught going over there with no, you know, holes in your jeans. I mean, it'd be like, I'm just coming to visit.
I'm just coming to visit.
I mean, we're like not in church.
Right.
I mean, we're off duty. We're off the clock of church right now.
I'm just coming to say hi. So, has ever serving her made you say, I don't want to be a first lady? Or even, I don't want to be in leadership?
No, it did. Serving her didn't. No, serving her didn't. I'll just say serving her didn't. But serving her didn't. I tell people, you know how you can, you go to Las Vegas, right? So when we go for a different purpose. We should go for, that was a whole nother thing.
Yep.
You know, we would go for her because she would do the, her shopping down in Vegas,
Right.
so we would go.
Right.
But because we were there, with having the kids, whatever, we seen something different, right? The prostitutes there
Yeah.
see a whole different world.
Right.
We come in and out the same door.
Right.
What they see is something different.
Right.
But I see is something different. The gambler, what they see is something different, and we're in the same place.
Yeah.
So, what I saw when I was serving her, I really saw, I just saw church in a different way, but in a positive way.
Okay.
Because of who she was,
Right.
and because I was serving her,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So anything that would be negative, there was always a positive spin,
Okay.
right? So you didn't have time with serving her to look at things different. I mean, I look at some things a little different now.
Yeah.
But when I was serving, because you get in the car, you know, you would think that was a little different. No, it would be something positive. So I learned really quick.
Yeah.
Okay, nope, we're not getting ready to talk about nothing negative.
Right.
You know, something might be a little different in the service.
Yeah.
And I done been to a whole bunch of different types of services.
Right.
Because she went so much.
Yeah.
And so at first I would be like, and it was not to be talked about in a negative way.
Right.
So then I seen so much stuff when it came to the church in a positive way.
Do you believe in that idea of
Certain
be seen and not heard when you're serving?
place that we should take at all times when we're serving. And it is not our place to be in any part of any conversation that we weren't asked to join in. And in fact, there's a certain privacy space that we should give them. We be in enough space to be able to take care of their needs if they need us. But we don't be in enough space to be able to hear their conversation and to join in. So I do believe in that. Like, we are to be seen and not heard. And anything that they want to ask us, if we go out to eat with them, whatever we're doing, you know, I don't sit at the table with you two. I grab a table close to you, so if you need me, you know what I'm saying? And when I'm serving you, I might be, even when it comes apart from you being a place to minister, even when I'm serving you, I keep a certain distance. So that there's times when people want to come to you and want to say something to you, that is private.
Right.
That is none of my business.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I had the type of first thing, whatever was said, she didn't have conversations about it.
Right.
You know?
Right.
Even if I did get a wind of something and hear a little bit of something, you know what? It was like I did not hear it.
See?
Because that was not for me.
That's good.
I don't talk about it, I don't share, and I don't bring it nowhere else.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I do believe in that. But see, when you see those type, I wonder, like, is it for you to be seen versus you having a heart of a servant?
See?
A heart of a servant really don't want to be seen.
Right.
I'm there to serve.
Right.
I don't need to be seen.
Right.
I'm in the background. But so when I see those that always got to be doing more than what they need to be doing, I just wonder what is the motive. I think you really need to seek and search yourself to see, because it is not always easy, right? People think it's always easy, but it's really not.
Right, because you're the first target
Right.
before they even get to the first
Right. And there's so much that we hear and we see. The last time I went to the Women's Convention, I promise you, it was a year, and this was right before COVID. When it came time for me to, you know, be my first lady, yes, but other than that, I was resting. It was a very, very, very hard one because we see and we hear so much.
Right.
And I believe when it comes to covering, we need to know how to cover. And so if they don't understand all of that, it's really not their role for them. It's not always a role of blame, right?
Right.
It's like, so I hear things
Yep.
about my first lady.
Yep.
What do I do with it?
Right.
I don't want to share anything with her
Right.
that's going to hurt her.
Right.
So that's where the prayer comes in. You know, praying, because now I'm like, okay, God, you got to help me with this. You know, and I don't want to share it, but I have to keep her covered. Right? So it's more than just going to services with her, sitting up front, you know, It's more than that, carrying their stuff, bringing their stuff up to the
Right,
pulpit.
right.
All of that, there's a lifestyle that comes with it.
Absolutely.
So if you're not prepared, number one, if you already have a busy lifestyle, it might not be the role for you.
Wow.
You can't get upset when your first lady call you because they need something. Or they gotta go to service and they need you to come to them. And you talk about, I mean, I just got to work, it's 5 o'clock. I ain't even cooked dinner. I mean, okay. This is your role. Just like that's your job, this is your job as well. And you have to take it like that. So I don't think a lot of people understand. I think they can pick and choose.
Right.
Like when to go and when not to go. No, she needs you to serve you every time she goes. And sometimes people have more than one.
Right.
Near the end of her time, she only I was the only one. In the beginning it was 2, but you know, things changed.
Yeah.
And so I had to be committed to that. And people don't get that. It is a commitment,
Right.
you know, when you're serving.
Right.
And so if they really don't want to be committed,
Yeah.
I don't think it's for them.
Can you have that balance though? Can you be a full-time mother and still serve your first lady?
You can. I was a full-time mother.
Yeah.
And at the time, I was divorced from my children's father. So I was a full-time mother.
Yeah.
And so, but I was able to balance. And my children were in sports. And so I was making the games. But I also made this a priority.
Right.
And so that's what people don't understand. Even later years. So she gets her calendar. I know the places she's going.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
I need to make sure my calendar is adjusted. So I already knew I have to already block it off.
Yeah.
I know I have to be here.
Yeah.
I got to drive her here. I got to get her there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't, she would have to call me the day before and be like, can you get me? Because it was already taken care of.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so it is like another job.
Yep.
And you have to be committed to it.
Train of thought. But when someone is so dedicated, you gotta know who the first lady is and what she does. How important is that to you?
That's very important. You have to know what she wants, what she likes, what she does not like. And, you know, just because you like this now, you know, 2 months later, it might be something different that you want. So it's continuously learning your first lady. And you almost become one. I'm not talking about one like, you know, husband and wife, but you become one because if you're observing her and watching her and really serving her, I know what you like and what you don't like. You know, I know you don't like cold water. You know what I'm saying? So somebody's coming, and that's why I always tell people, bring your own stuff.
Right.
You are there to serve your first lady.
Yeah.
And when you get there, you let them know I'm serving my first lady.
Yeah.
You know, because the other person don't know.
Right.
So I know what kind of tea you like.
Yeah.
You know, I know if you like peppermints. I know if you like it before. I know if you like it after. You know what I'm saying? I know if you like to come out of your shoes. You know, right after you speaking. I know if you want to greet people right after. Today, you minister, you might have enough strength to go and greet and talk to people.
Right.
The next time, you might not.
Right.
I need to be able to know and watch you and know
Yeah, that's good.
she don't have the strength today.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's a certain way that, okay, now when we're leaving out of the service, I know how to get her out. And I'm saying, you know, you greet people, whatever, but I'm not going to just let you stand there and talk because I know you can't.
Right.
You don't want to be rude to the people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But there's a little something. So we done already had these conversations.
Yeah.
So we talk, okay, when I notice you're a little tight, this is what I'm going to do to get you out of there. So if my hand touch your back, you just, I'm escorting you and we going out. You know what I'm saying? So those are discussions that we've already had.
Right.
Because we spend a whole bunch of time together.
Yeah.
And that is what I'm to do.
Yeah.
To learn you.
Right.
Even when you want to do certain stuff, No, you can't do that right now.
Right.
I know you want to.
I know you want to.
But you don't have the strength to do that.
Right.
So I do think that it is really important for us to learn and know. And I think too, that comes with really having a heart of a servant.
Yeah.
Because you really learn your job.
Yeah.
There's been jobs that I went on and I went just for the paycheck. I'm like, this kind of money, there you go. God give me that job.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I ain't gonna be there long
Right.
because I only wanted the paycheck.
I didn't want it.
Right, and then afterwards, I'm like, there's no way I'm trying to learn all this stuff. I don't know, you know.
Right.
But when it's something that you really want to do,
Yeah.
when it's the job that I really love, so I really love work. I've always loved working with young people. So that's me
Yeah.
all day long. I know, and so guess what? It don't take me long to grasp on
Yeah.
because that's where my heart is.
Right.
Everybody shouldn't be able to touch you and put their, especially if you just got through ministering.
Right.
I get it. I do get it that you want to greet people, right? We have to know. So that comes with protecting as well. Because if you're so open, you done pour it out.
Yeah.
And you're so open,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's not the time for everybody to be touching you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So like, if I'm in tune to you, I know this is not the time. You know what I'm saying? So now I have to keep you covered. So there's a certain way, and again, there's a certain way that you and I have already had conversations, and even if we haven't talked about that, because you know me, you know when I'm doing a certain move or whatever, you know, I just kind of go. And I might even whisper
Yep.
and say,
Yep.
I have to get you out of here.
Yeah. So,
And we were just at something a few weeks ago. And when you serve, doesn't matter who they are when you serve, right? And this person happens to know me and know that I'm not going to do anything to harm them.
right.
It was time for her to get out of there.
Yeah.
You know what?
Yeah.
It was time for her to get out of there.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a younger person that's serving you.
Yeah.
They really don't, and I'm not saying that they might not know,
Right.
right? But it took some time. It took some time for me to learn how to really serve.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
you don't
You're
just,
not gonna get it overnight.
right, it's not just there. So I said, you have to go. Yep. You're tired. Yep.
Yep.
You're getting on your stuff and you're going to the car.
Yep.
Even when you go back in there sick, you can't talk.
Can't talk.
You get your stuff. I said, there's some that will understand and there's some who won't. I said, but God knows your heart. So you can't run. Those that don't understand, you let them not understand.
Then so they,
This ain't the time for you to sit around and talk. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so so you need the right person around you
yeah.
that understand that. And that's why I think it's so important for people who are serving. That's when I say they need classes.
Right. Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you can be called to do it, but everybody that's doing it is not called to do it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And even those that are called, the classes, you still need the classes. It's helpful. But those that are just doing it, and I'm not saying they're doing it for any type of, but they're doing it because they saw a need.
Yeah.
Go get the classes
Go get the
because
classes.
it will help you to understand.
Yeah.
That is
There's one key point that you mentioned, prayer. How important is it for an adjutant to be in prayer all the time?
All the time. I think that is very important
Yep.
because we don't want to get in the way.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We want to be in the mindset of serving. When we're not praying all the time, we're in our flesh. And we're affected by things. You know, we could even be affected by something that the person we're serving
Yep.
either said,
Yep.
did, we'll take it a certain type of way.
Right.
That ain't even what you meant.
Right.
You know what I mean? But I'm in my feelings because I'm in my flesh.
Yep.
So things that are said. you know, or people say something to you. One of the most memorable things that my First Lady said to me, you cannot worry about the things that people are saying about me. Don't let that affect you. Because that will affect how you serve me. Because if I let that play in my mind, right?
Yeah.
I can't serve you in a godly way.
Wow.
Because now I'm tripping off of all the things I done heard.
Yeah.
And so you're still being First Lady.
Right.
You know these people don't really care for you.
Right.
But you're still greeting them and you're still talking.
Yeah.
But here I am serving you.
Mad.
And I'm mad.
Yep.
And I'm rolling my eyes.
Yep.
And being, I can't do that.
Yeah.
That's a reflection on her. So that sticks with me.
Yes.
But it's so important because if I wouldn't pray, it didn't matter what she said.
Right.
I hear it,
Right.
but I'm still like, nope, not today. Yep, no, this person won't be getting up to her. Like I would be in the like that. No, you don't even like her. So,
Right.
Why are you coming up
Sit
to
down.
her? Sit down, because I heard what you said about her. You know, you don't like her. Now you want to come up talking about God bless you. I love you.
Right. Right.
And I'll be like,
appreciation.
yeah. And I'm like, we take a lot off of you guys, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you guys still are dealing with a lot.
Yeah.
You got to worry about your message.
Right.
You got to prepare that for today,
Right.
right? You got to worry about it.
Right.
Your mind is floating. Like, God, is this what you have for me to say tonight?
Back and forth.
How are the people going to receive it?
Back and forth.
So now, if I'm in a certain type of mood, how am I going to be helpful to you? You know what I'm saying? I need to be in a posture where I'm praying for my First Lady. You know, God, you allow your will to be done on tonight. You use her on tonight. You know, keep her covered on tonight. So those are the like, and if she's fasting, even if you just hear her say I'm fasting, you go on a fast too. You know what I'm saying?
Good. Yeah, that's good.
You know she's coming up on a conference.
Yeah.
Or she got to go speak.
Yeah.
I know she's fasting. I fast too.
Right. That's good.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's a lot that comes with serving a First Lady. And it's more than just walking up and having a seat.
Right. Yeah. So
Yeah.
tell us about the ministry that the Lord has called you to do recently.
You know, during COVID, he had begun to deal with me with hurting women, young and old. And so, and when we begin to deal with stuff ourselves, we begin to deal with us first. And I began to deal with things and emotions and feelings that I had. So there was a couple of things that happened around the same time. And I realized even, you know, with my aunt's passing, I don't think I really grieved. It was a lot of like different roles that she played.
Right.
But in that moment I said, you know, people are hurting. Where it was really birthed from, dealing with my own things on the inside. And then the more I would talk to other women, I would start listening to them, and I'm like, you know, a lot of stuff that's in some women, men too, but dealing with women, it didn't just start when you got 30,
No.
40, 50. It's stuff that has been there, and we just let it lie there and didn't deal with it. One, because we didn't feel as though we had a safe space or had someone to talk to that would not judge. And so that's where I did like a chat and shoot for 2 years. I recently just stopped it maybe the last month because now we're transitioning into something different that would be like sister to sister connection. But that was for women to be empowered and to know. I'm not so much trying to preach and teach, you got to get saved. Yeah, that's not. I believe once they begin to work on their own self, we talk Bible, we talk scripture, we share testimony. God will do the rest. You know, sometimes people have been so beaten up. You got to come to church, you got to do this, you got to do that, and then they come just because they feel as though they're being made to come, right? And those are the worst people, right? But when you come, when you start getting yourself cleaned out from the inside out, no matter what it is, all that hurt, all that bitterness, you'll start seeing God in a different way. You'll realize and recognize that God is real. You know what I'm saying? And so we talk Bible, we talk scripture, so it's not a place where we're not doing that. I just wanted to attack it in a different way. Because, you know, somebody that's, I don't want to give any promises to anybody. Because I can tell you all that I want to tell you about. You need to be saved. But if you don't really understand who God is and what that means, that means absolutely nothing to you. You think I'm just another person banging on your door, telling you this is what you need to do, but you don't understand that you got to get rid of all that stuff in the inside first. And there's been young women from different denominations. So it's not just us. And then there's been women who don't go to church. And we were meeting here like in the vestibule. I was just using it for temporarily because I didn't want anybody to think that this is like a Bible study or anything and I'm putting, that's not what it was. And it's not what it is. It's women coming together and empowering one another. That's where I am now. And so I'm really looking forward to what God is doing. In this season. He's doing some good things.
And we thank God for abundance. Because one water, one plants, but God gives the increase. We thank God for abundance investment into us.
Right.
She believed in her daughters. One thing I loved about her was she didn't care about your age. If she saw something valuable, she was going to use you. And she, one time, she believed in pouring into us. And I believe if she could be here and see what you're doing now, she'd be extremely proud to see you grow and coming out of your shell a whole lot more. I mean, it's not like all of this stuff wasn't there already, but to know that her investment was not in vain, I think she'd be pleased.
I tell people all the time, I said, I want to make her proud. So that's one of the things, I just want to make her proud. And I think we should want to make our first ladies proud.
Absolutely.
And our pastors, we should. Like, they've been feeding us for all these years. Praying with us. And we should want to make them proud.
There's nothing better than seeing what you poured into actually grow. Nothing better than that. On this discussion. Thank you so much for agreeing to come on here and talk to those of us who are thinking about serving the First Lady or who are serving the First Lady. And you may be discouraged. You may be tired. You may be frustrated thinking that this job is a lot. And it is. But when God has called you to it, I believe you can do it. So before we go, just pray for that adjutant that's serving her First Lady that may be a little bit tired and a little bit worn out.
God, we thank you. We thank you for this segment. We thank you for this time, oh God. God, we thank you for each adjutant that is serving, oh God, and those that are looking into coming into servanthood. God, we ask that you give them the heart to serve. God, we ask that you give them the mind to serve. God, we ask you to give them the understanding of what it takes to serve, oh God, in the name of Jesus, oh God. God, let them be a willing vessel, oh God. Let them have the right motives in everything that they're doing, oh God. God, teach them the know-how. Give them the strength. Give them the commitment that is needed to do what they would need to do to be a servant, oh God. God, and we pray and we bless your name and we magnify you, God. We give you the glory, we give you the honor, and we give you the praise. Amen.
Amen.